Sometimes the reality of life makes it harder to accept what the future's holding for all of us. Higher force calling us, unexpected visits to the coroner. When tragedy, pain has befallen us, and as we getting older, you quickly realize that you have to be stronger than you ever been. Lifespan has to be longer. Too many people taking life for granted. Too much negativity.
Really good, ladies and gentlemen. It's your man, Chef. We're doing things a little differently. I got a little bubbly going on. I'm feeling nice and comfortable. And it's going to be a special one. We're going to do a TNA special, and there's nobody else on the planet that I could have bring in any better because my man Hurls is going to take over. I just wanted to kick a little something off. Hurls, what are we doing tonight? Let them know. Just go ham, brother.
Yeah, that's for sure. Tonight we're going to be going over TNA, the 1 hour special that was on Access TV this week. It has been almost 3 years since we've seen TNA. TNA came back alive, and man, when you went on Twitter and you saw the reactions to TNA coming back, it was all positive. Just a really fun, real short show. It made you really hyped for that pay-per-view that was supposed to happen. But you know what? Maybe we're going to get it down the road, and it's even going to be better than it originally was supposed to be. So that's what I'm hoping for. But tonight, we're going to talk about everything TNA. We're going to talk Impact too. But, we got some really good things planned for tonight.
We do got some dope things planned. And I think that it would be cool because me and you were talking about it. And I'd rather be you say what we were talking about. What did we think? What were we coming off when we were saying what should be the perfect second show? Before we even go into anything and bless these people with a good time, what would be a second show that we were talking about for Impact Wrestling brands?
Oh man, we were thinking they got to bring, TNA. TNA would be great. Like you could have 3 hours every Tuesday night. You could do 2 hour Impact. You can do 1 hour TNA. I think that would be great. Just looking at that title that was at the announcer's table, just looking at how beautiful that title looks, man, that was great. It was just great. And I think Access, with all the positivity that they received on Twitter, and you can tell like everybody was commenting on it, even like Scott D'Amore. I think it's something they definitely have to consider.
100%. And let's face it, that title's beautiful. You could bring back the King of the Mountain title. There's so many things that you could bring, and you got to change that name because there's been so many different names. But or you know what? I don't even know. Maybe there's too much wine in my system because, like I said, we're doing this like gentlemen out here. Usually it's a little something different. I'm feeling good. Hers, if I'm rambling, let me know. Cut me off. Listen, I'm excited. I see the name TNA, and I got fucking my hairs are standing up. I'm just going ham right now.
Man, it was. No, you're sharing the same passion that I was, man. Like normally when I've been watching wrestling shows for the past 2 years, there's been some moments that got me out of my seat. That whole show, I was watching standing up. I really was, because it was like, oh, blast from the past. This is what really got me going about wrestling again. Once WCW died, it was TNA. Like, and I felt like I was watching that again. I'm seeing all these guys, like, you didn't get to see them anymore. They just got released or whatever. But man, it was just great. And man, I mean, you just forget how good Kid Cash was, and you forget how good Hernandez was sometimes, even though we've seen him a little more recently. But these guys, man, they are what it made TNA so great. I mean, Raven doing the kendo sticks again, it was like, oh, yes. Raven cutting that promo about the Clockwork House of Fun match, like that was amazing. So, man, this show was great, and that pay-per-view would have been so great just to see, man. I just hope we get that sooner than later.
You know what? Absolutely. But before we even go into there, I think we should talk about the signings.
Yes, definitely. Let's break it down. So, Impact, Tommy Dreamer, who is he works in TNA's office, Impact's office, and I'm going to drop that name twice. I'm going to use TNA and Impact because they brought it back, and this is a TNA show, so we're gonna call it TNA. He announced on Busted Open Radio that Impact signed 3 people. We know who 2 of them are. Let's go through them. First one signing we got was Chris Bay. Chef, what have you seen Chris Bay as of yet?
I have not seen them, but what I'm going to tell you, because we just talked prior to hitting that record button, that red light that goes on, and we go into Chef and Hurls mode. So I'm going to tell you now, I'm excited because the word used was an aerial technician, and I don't know many of those type of people. So I'm fired up to see Chris Bay. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm excited. You got me hyped up. I'm gonna tell you, and it's gonna. He's got a big building to leap because you got me so sky high on this guy that I want to see the shit, and I believe I'm gonna see some shit. So I'm excited. I haven't seen him, but I'm pumped up to see on what your words, because listen, there are some guys you said like who was the North guy that you were super hyped on?
Josh Alexander.
Josh Alexander. And I always say this whenever me and you talk, because we do joke around off things on something else, but when you said this guy's coming to Impact, he's the shit, this, that, and I'm like, I don't know, man. He's wearing like one of those weirdo helmets and looking kind of special, like the kid on the back of the short bus. But watching him, I was like, whoa, this guy is the truth. So you get the point for that one. So because you hit you hit the home run on this one, I'm expecting the grand slam on Chris Bay.
Yeah. Yes, and well, the thing is, I'm watching these shows that not many people are watching. These monthly specials they're pulling on. They pull a lot of these talents in, and you kind of get a lay of the land of the indie scene, so to speak. And when I was just super impressed with Josh Alexander when I first saw him, he went like a 30-minute cage match with Sami Callihan. I was like, damn, dude, they gotta sign this guy. And then sure enough, like 6 months later, they ended up signing him. It was just like, he's a talent that reminds me of that Canadian technician like Bret Hart, little Rick Steiner with the headgear. But man, he's just a smooth worker, knows how to do it. I mean, he was primed for TV. And Chris Bay, I see this guy in the same light, but totally different. He's from the West Coast. He's been on WWE 205 Live. He even had an AEW Dark match, I believe. He was on Dark. So he's gotten some TV experience already. And, when Cody Rhodes is like, yeah, I'm going to check this guy out. And then Impact signs him like the next day after Cody Rhodes says that. Like, there's something about this guy. And then you watch him. He is just so smooth in the ring. He just makes it look so easy. And he slows it down so you can digest everything. It's not like spot after spot after spot. This guy, when he calls himself the ultimate finesser, he really is the ultimate finesser. That's his gimmick, and it really shows in the ring. So I got a lot of. I think this guy's going to be winning a lot of titles in Impact Wrestling. So anyways, let's go to our second signing. Now, this is another interesting one because I've seen this lady. She's been around the Midwest. She's been wrestling a ton in Chicago. She's made her way up to Milwaukee quite a few times. And she has that look where she needs to be on TV. And I knew, like, once she was signed with AEW, I was like, oh, damn, they got a good one. And I was kind of hoping Impact would get her. And then we hear, like, she got released. It was an amicable release between her and AEW. And we don't really know what happened. I don't know if we'll ever know. But Kylie Ray, and all of a sudden, she showed up at Bound for Glory in that Battle Royal. And I think ever since, she's kind of been on Impact's radar. And then, what is it now? April? So about 6 months later, she gets signed by Impact. I think this signing is a good move. I don't think she's like the greatest thing. I want to see more of her. I can't really judge her yet, but she's also got name value. I think these two signings were really good because these two have been getting a following, and you always want to follow them. Like, you look at her, I think it's her Instagram followers. She's got more than the whole AEW women's roster besides Britt Baker. So she's clearly doing something right. Chef, what's your thoughts?
Absolutely. Yeah. No, here's the thing. And it's no secret, obviously the whole heel Team 6 thing, I favor the bad guys. So her being bubbly and cute and, looking all anime, it's a little out of my zone. I'm not going to lie to you. But me getting away from all that, my preference and everything else, the girl can go. Like, when you watch her perform, you're like, man, this chick is really talented. So I think she's the perfect baby face. Like, she just looks sweet, innocent. She is a sexy woman. Don't let me take nothing away from her, but she's like that girl next door. You know what I mean? Like, she has all that baby face thing you need in her. She's the perfect complement to whatever heel you're going to put her against. You know what I'm saying? So I'm excited to see what she can do going forward, because I do have a sample, and what the sample that I've had, I do like what I've seen. So I do think she's a really good signing. And you're right, she has a massive following. So when you put that together and people say, well, Impact don't have no big names, or let's just stick with TNA, this, even if your fanboys on TV say, well, I don't know her. Well, shit. Her followers, there's a whole lot of people that follow her. So that's real support. So you will see that carry over. And I listen, I want to see her versus, maybe a Havoc after a few months, just that really mean bad girl. And, let's see what the smaller girl versus the giant can really, how can she transition to not fighting girls her size, like a little bigger? Those are the challenges I like to see with people I don't have a large buffet on already.
Oh, yeah. I mean, can you imagine her versus Taya Valkyrie, or her versus Tessa Blanchard, or hell, even her mixing it up with Sue Young? I mean, there's endless matchups she can have. And it's just crazy, like AEW, like what is the one thing they absolutely need? They need women, right? And they let one of their best women just go like that. And they're still struggling to find an identity. Like, none of their women are really, I mean, you got the Japanese wrestlers. They're good. They're good at wrestling. But as characters, I don't know if they're ever going to translate like that. I think Kylie Ray would have done that. I really
absolutely
do.
You see, that's where I think that, listen, it's no secret that we're not trying to take nothing away from, AEW or TNA right now. We're just talking, listen, this coexists with what we're saying. So when you lose somebody like a Kylie Ray, I love Riho. I think Riho in ring can wrestle with anybody on the planet. She's that talented. But what does she give you on a microphone? What character do you understand? Because wrestling is supposed to give you something that you can relate to. I like certain people because they feel street, or because they're aggressive, because I can relate to that. I'm not saying old manship. I'm saying, what I know. So it's like, I appreciate those guys. But you have to give me something for me to invest back into you, for me to want to actually use the word fan, which I don't use very often. I can't be a fan of Riho. I love your work, but what do you give me besides being a great wrestler? Listen, I could go fucking 5 miles from me, go to any of these independent shows. I live in Florida now. I got some dope-ass independents out here. I could go grab 9 girls that could go, and I mean, in ring, they could be on TV. The only problem is their character development is so low that why should anybody invest any money in, because somebody can't relate to her? And I think that Kylie Ray relates to a whole lot of females out there. That's a massive fucking loss for AEW, and that's a big, big gain for fucking TNA.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, and the one thing Impact really doesn't really need is knockouts. Like, that wasn't something. I mean, they have a pretty solid knockout division. But to add Kylie Ray, it just like really enforces how strong their knockouts division really is at this moment. I mean, they got a lot of knockouts that can go.
Hers, I mean, to be honest with you, I would put Impacts and TNA, Impact Wrestling, Total Nonstop Action, whatever anybody wants to call it. I'd put that women's roster against any roster on the planet. And it's not because I'm trying to sit here and smooth over my old school people that I love talking Impact and TNA with. That's not what I'm doing. But that roster, like, because I'm not a fan of Charlotte Flair. I'm not a fan of Sloppy Banks who botches every other night. So I would take my tires. I would take all these girls. Listen, Sue Young is a fucking beast. So that roster is sick. And to be honest with you, if you put at the lowest, I would say Kyrie Hogan, because of her years, is the lowest on the total poll of Impact, and she's still better than 90% of every single wrestler in fucking AEW's female division.
Yeah, and Kiera Hogan, like if you look at her since her debut, she's really starting to improve. Like, she's finally starting to get that character work in. Now her size is limited. She's like a Madison Rain size, but you know what? She's starting to work with it. And I'm liking her new attitude she's been getting. I mean, and let's not forget, you still got Gail Kim in the back. Like, if Gail Kim really wants to step out for another match, she can. You know what I'm saying? So, like, you got one of the greatest knockouts.
Greatest of all time. I don't give a fuck. You know what? If anybody got a problem, say in the comments. You can kiss my ass ahead of time. Gail Kim is the greatest female wrestler of all time. Kiss my ass.
I don't see who's gonna like really argue with you. We were talking the other day on the Heelcast about a Mount Rushmore of women's wrestlers. I think almost everybody had Gail Kim up there. So, you know what? She's phenomenal. I met Gail. She's a sweetheart too. Just great person. And you know what? She's one of the best wrestlers of all time. Always puts on great matches. But yeah, Kylie Rae, second signing. So it was reported that there is a third signing out there. Who do we think this could be? Who do you think the third signing could be? I mean, it could be, an independent wrestler. It could be someone with a, bigger name. Who do you think? I want to hear what your guess would be.
I'm going to go ham, and I'm going to say my homie, the big homie, EC3 is coming back home.
Wow. That could be something. EC3.
Listen, I got goosebumps right now. I'm excited because as much as I would love him on a big platform like AEW,
sure,
I would love to see him go home. Like, if anybody attended an Impact show or you watch his body of work, that man loved that shit. Like, did he want to go back to WWE and try to prove a point? He did. He got released. He proved that, he could do his thing outside of it. And he came back, and guess what? They fucking buried him.
Yep.
So what better way than to fucking come back and come back home? Like, and I wish we had anybody on the Impact that was in the Impact Zone. They would tell you, we used to chant to this guy, like, the house that Ethan built, and he used to go ham off camera, standing there fucking with us and all that. Dude, we got to do an Impact Zone thing, and I'll bring a few people on that are really cool, that been there way before me, and they got some crazy stories. But that dude embodied everything Impact was, and he just took that challenge and ran with it. I'm telling you right now, if EC3 comes back, let's get it popping. Impact is on another level. And, I'm praying. Let's just pray to the wrestling gods. EC3 come home, free the three.
Wow. I would love to see that. But the one thing that's really killing me is that dinner that EC3 had in downtown Disney, or Disney Springs, I should say, where he had his dinner with Chris Jericho. I looked at that kind of like a recruiting tool. You know what I'm saying? Like when LeBron and Anthony Davis are at the LA Steakhouse, and they're talking about, hey, come join the Lakers. That's kind of what I felt like Jericho was trying to get EC3 there.
Oh, listen, 100% he was. But to be honest with you, you would, at this point, right, my selling point, at this point, if I'm EC3, right, and I'm not trying to act like I know how he thinks. Let's not go crazy. But my thing is, I know what impact I've done there. And if I'm coming back, I want to be put in a certain position, eventually be a heavyweight champion, not come right back home. You got to earn your stripes. You left us. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you got to earn your stripes back in because it's a whole new field. You got Sammy over there. You got Elgin. Moose is still doing his dizzle. So you got to earn your stripes back. But I'm coming back to a home that I helped build. AEW, I didn't do that. And then, to be honest with you, you think they're putting you over fucking Moxley? You think they're going to put you over fucking Omega or Cody Rhodes or any of these guys? You're not getting put over them. So your thing is, what, you want to try to be the next person for the TNT title? Or would you come back home and build up and bring your following? Because let's face it, anyone that goes to WWE, the fanboys instantly go on their Twitters and Instagram and follows.
Yeah, there's no question. And this was a thing that I've been thinking about with AEW. Like when they sign everybody, it's just like WCW. You're going to start having guys like they're going to start getting pissed on how they're getting used. It's just when you sign that much talent and you don't know what to do with them, it creates problems. where I think Impact doesn't have that problem. Like they know, like when they sign a guy, they know where they're going to place him. There's a few that, they haven't been used the best. Not going to say there hasn't, but it's a lot less scattered.
Absolutely. Before you pick your third guy, who you think is going to be the third signing, let me ask you a question. Before fucking Lucha Underground, because I wasn't a fan of it. I watched it. I was like, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
The wrestling was good, but I didn't, I wasn't a fan of it. Before, do you think anybody knew who the fuck Jeremiah Crane was, or do you think that everybody knows Sami Callihan is?
Oh, he's another guy that had such a big following in the West Coast Indies, but that's small. That's minority, very small minority. He made it to NXT. He lasted 6 months. He was released. Went back to Lucha Underground. That was probably his biggest platform at the time. I would say, Lucha Underground made him.
No. See, that's my thing. Is even as I watched all the seasons, and I was never like this Jeremiah Crane is a bad motherfucker. I never felt that way. I was like, he's okay. Yeah, he's okay. But then when he's fucking Sami Callihan in Impact Wrestling, that's a bad motherfucker. It's a big difference from Jeremiah Crane. This is what I'm saying. Is he was okay in Lucha Underground, but when he got to Impact Wrestling, and I was like, this guy can fucking go. And then you see his aggressive level and all that other shit. You can't even put Jeremiah Crane in the same conversation as Sami Callihan.
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all. Sami Callihan, he's doing everything in Impact. He's kind of like put it on his back. He's kind of taking that EC3 role and he started going with it. It's a different flavor. It's a heel flavor. But this guy, I mean, wow. He doesn't need to win a match.
Wasn't he talking shit to Jericho too when he was doing the whole cruise thing? Wasn't he talking shit?
He's been talking to anybody. Like anybody being a wrestler, he calls out. He's like, hey, he's calling out. Yeah, he was talking shit to Jericho. Jericho was talking shit back. I want to say he was on the cruise. He was on the cruise.
Oh, shit. I don't.
Or he was supposed
I don't remember because it's funny because a lot of people hype that cruise up, but when you hear people who were actually there, it's a whole different story.
Man, see, I think a lot of that though, my personal opinion, not yours obviously, or maybe you do share it. I think that whole cruise was just a recruiting tool for AEW. I really do.
100%, no question.
Yep. And I think it would have been even crazier had they landed Johnny Impact because he was on that cruise as well. When I'm talking about the first one, not the last one, but man, I think they were really just trying to get guys to go to AEW because LAX was on that cruise, But the other thing is too, though, it's funny because Jericho's such good friends with Callis and D'Amore. It's like you wouldn't think it's that kind of crazy, where these two guys are like trying to steal each other's guys, but it is.
Well, look at it this way. You lost LAX because of the cruise. I don't remember if the Lucha Brothers were on that cruise. I don't know that. But you got to think. You lost your two best tag teams real quick right after each other because LAX left, Lucha Bros left. And I'm going to tell you now, as much as I'm not a fan of what they're doing with the Lucha Bros, Lucha Brothers, they're fucking amazing tag team. And I'm going to tell you, you could take Pentagon out of that and Phoenix, put them in different divisions, and both of those guys are stars. And they literally robbed Impact of two great tag teams.
They did. That was a huge blow because there was nobody to really pass the torch. I love the North, don't get me wrong, but they had to hotshot them into that position. Thankfully, it's been working out. It's been building up the North, and they're starting to get that name out there. But man, when you have to lose them back to back like that, that's just that's big blow. It really is.
Who you got for that third signing? Who do you think it is?
Okay, so here's my thoughts. It may happen, may not happen. Sami Callihan's got this new ICU gimmick going, and I don't think it can survive with just him. Okay, and I don't know if he's still part of OVE or not. That's kind of the storyline that's going on. Like Madman Fulton and the Chris brothers are like wondering, Sammy hasn't talking to us in weeks, what's going on, type of thing. I think if you really want to get this ICU over, that he's got to add some people. So I think the third is going to be a tag team, and I think it's going to be the Ascension. I really do. They work together.
Wow.
Yep, they work together in NXT, and I think, you know what I mean. Like, bring those two guys over. Yeah, another team that wasn't. They were over as all you could be in NXT, and then flopped on the main roster. But that was, I think, partially that was what the writers gave them. They tried to make them look like LOD, and you just can't do that. But if you look how over they were in the NXT crowd, I think the Ascension comes over, and I think they're going to be with Sami Callihan. That's who I'm thinking for the third signing.
I love those guys. I'm a big fan of them. And I'm not just trying to shamelessly plug the big homie Bram, but he was with them when he was in, NXT before NXT was anything. So I knew about them prior, and I loved their work. And they unfortunately get treated like most NXT guys who come out of NXT and they get jobbed the fuck out. But that'd be amazing. I mean, can you imagine? Because at this point, you would probably have Fulton leading OVE, because he's the big diesel guy. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
You imagine if you bring them in and then you have Sami Callihan with the Ascension, obviously ICU, and going up against fucking OVE.
Yes.
Dude, what a fucking amazing story to tell. Like, because he pretty much bring these guys up because with the Chris brothers, super great in ring. I watched them in ring many a times. I appreciate their in ring work, but when they were on a microphone, I was like, oh, like just shut the fuck up, like. And then Sami Callihan comes in, and you're like, oh, like okay, keep talking shit, homie. So they've been progressed so far as they can go, and now you have Fulton. I think Fulton can lead OVE to a whole new direction. And with your Ascension, dude, my fault for cutting you off. Go ahead, my fault. I'm rambling.
No, that's perfectly fine. That's the passion I'm looking for in this storyline, because I think it's the way they're setting up. And Ascension was interviewed, like, I want to say a couple weeks ago, and they asked them, like, oh, are you looking to go to AEW? And they're like, no, we're not necessarily looking to go to the biggest company right now that's not WWE. We're looking for a place that we know we're going to be used properly, and we know they're going to have something for us, and we all can get on the same page. So that's why I think they're coming to Impact, and I think the way they kind of responded in that interview, it just leads me to believe. And they also said they're going to be on TV very soon. So that's my guess. I could be totally off. It could be somebody like Mr. Anderson. Who knows? But I don't know.
Listen, Harold, you're not wrong. Let's just, you know what? I think you're 1,000% right, because it's like you say with the ICU thing. You can't really just have it as Sami Callihan because it's a cool little gimmick, but how long can he just be, ICU guy? You know what I mean? Like, so I think you're right. I'm a homer. I'm going to go with the guy as the homie. I'm going to go with, obviously EC3, but your pick just makes perfect sense. And the way you able to kind of tell a story going forward, I think that's the perfect people to bring in.
Yeah, I really do. I think it gives them good backup, gives another tag team in the division, and man, these guys with Sammy, I think, could do some good things. Like, if you look at the promo for the ICU that they're hyping up, it looks a lot like when, the Ascension was kind of getting, like, when they first started kind of coming in and that whole look. And I think they'd be a good tag team to get. And I'm not just saying because they're WWE guys. I just think they got over at one point. They show that they showed that they can get over. And this is just a perfect scenario for them. And then you could push Madman Fulton to be the leader of OVE with the Chris brothers. I think that's a win-win right there.
Fuck yeah, there's shit. I don't even know how do we even follow this shit up after this?
I don't know, man. And then there was also another, I guess you could say, a signing, not really a signing, but they had Gut Check. They brought Gut Check back. They did the whole show. They gave it to Shogun. Shogun, this massive dude. It's crazy because I really thought Tony Gunn was going to win this thing because they've been kind of hyping him up. He's from OVW. They had some other guy like Tyler Durden, I think he was. He looked like another X Division guy, but they picked the bigger dude. And this guy, I'll have to send you footage of him, but I think you'll like him from what you see. But he won gut check and he got the deal. So
Wait. Did he kind of wrestle like a bad guy, or does he look more like a face?
He's a heel.
Oh, well, send it away. I'm excited.
Yes, I'll send it to you, man. But this guy, yeah, he won gut check and he's intense. He wears face paint. Yeah, I'll send it to you. But it's crazy because this gut check had Clayton Gaines. He's another guy that's been kind of blowing up on the indies kind of recently. But this dude, like, he was getting yelled at like every episode. Like he was making mistake after mistake. Like he didn't know how to get up the right way. I guess in wrestling you have to get up a certain way. And this guy wasn't doing it. He was just getting his ass chewed out by Johnny Bravo. It was crazy. I was like, damn. I didn't know Johnny had this in him. Yeah.
Is he well no, I think Johnny Bravo, wasn't he like didn't he wrestle before being a referee?
He did. Yeah.
And I think he owns a school too, right? Doesn't he have his own school?
Dude, he has his own school, yeah. Canadian.
Yeah.
Can-Am, I think it's called.
I remember that.
And I want to give a plug, a real small plug, because this has to tie in. I interviewed D-Ray 3000. I interviewed D-Ray 3000.
You fucked up.
Yes. Look him up on the Heelcast YouTube page. Find the D-Ray My Impact interview. D-Ray 3000's first match was against Johnny Bravo. Crazy. I was like, no way. Really? He's like, yep, that was my first match.
Shit.
Yeah, that was his first match. I would have never guessed it, but crazy.
I remember when I first seen him, I was talking with, I think it was Stifler's last time, and he was coming in, and I was talking with Stifler, and we were having a cool conversation. And I was like, dude, you got like a pretty good physique for being a referee. And he was like, oh, I used to wrestle and shit. And I was like, oh, word? Like, I was like, oh, okay, that's what's up. And I don't think a lot of people realize that unlike a lot of these referees, he actually wrestled. Like, he actually trained and has his own school. So he knows what the fuck he's doing or what he's looking at. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's really cool to have a referee that was a former wrestler in ring, so he understands what he's seeing as a talent, not just a referee.
Right. And now he's not even a referee anymore. He's managing Taya. So, he's definitely got that heel manager thing down, and he's doing a hell of a job. Like, I was like, why are you calling yourself Johnny Bravo? But if you've been wrestling since the mid-90s, you were before that cartoon ever got popular. So, you know what I'm saying? So, he knows what the hell he's doing out there. I mean, he's been wrestling for a long time. So, just crazy stuff. But yeah, gut check. It was only like 5 episodes, but they were good. They were only like 15 minutes long, so it's like not, it wasn't hard to catch up on it. So, it was good stuff.
You know what I would love to see again? A fucking British boot camp.
Oh yeah, British boot camp was great. British boot camp was awesome. I think that's the one market they got to go back out for, because they did not have a show this past year in Britain.
No. And if you think about it, like, just go season 1. Season 1 alone. I'm not even – and I could go through, and I'm extremely biased in this, and obviously my whole ICW fan thing and everything else. Like, you know what I'm saying? Regardless of that, not even speaking of that, if you really look at the last 2 competitors were Marty Scurll and fucking Rockstar Spud. Rockstar Spud was killing it in Impact. He's doing a pretty cool shit in WWE. Marty Scurll is obviously the fucking man of ROH, and he's about to go against fucking Nick Aldis for the NWA champion. So you're looking at 2 amazing products that were part of British Boot Camp just alone.
Yeah, that is crazy when you look at, well, not even that. Like, if you look at season 2 as well, if you combine all that talent that's in there, it is amazing to see how much of that talent is signed by WWE right now.
Dude, was it fucking Killian Dane in that shit too?
Dude, Killian Dane, Dave Mastiff, Kaylee Ray. Oh, gosh.
Why do you have to name her? Because I got to start doing she's the greatest female wrestler. Listen, Kaylee Ray to me, and I was leaving it alone. Anytime that name comes up, I have to do what I do. Kaylee Ray is the best female wrestler on the planet. I don't give a fuck who anyone puts in front of her.
I won't be arguing with that, man. I really liked her in that British boot camp season. What place did she take? Didn't she take second or third,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
She was like really close to winning the whole thing.
Bro,
Man,
it sucks because I've always, and here goes my dream match thing, and once again, I'm biased, but I wanted so bad to see Kaylee Ray versus fucking Gail Kim. That's always been my thing, and it would have been so dope to see that, but obviously, the cards played out the way they played, but crazy. But British Boot Camp, when you look at their fucking roster and how British Boot Camp was showcased, I would love for somebody to say, "Oh well, I see this is better." Nah, British Boot Camp was showcased so dope that it was crazy.
it was a really fun reality show. I really enjoyed it. Dude, who was the Butcher guy too? He was on there. He was really good too, and I think he's in ICW now. I think.
Yeah, he's been in ICW. Oh fuck, I just
Yeah.
forgot his name. He's with shit. It's the Kinky Party. They go no kinky, no party. Yo, dude, it's funny. Like I could do this shit all day, but
Man, yeah.
yeah, it's he's in such a cool thing. The storytelling was awesome, but all those guys have came up, and I would love to see Anthem step back into that plateau and be like, you know what, this was successful. Let's go back to that. And you know what, TNA has got me way too fucking excited. Like I'm hearing, the more I'm talking, we're not even talking. But bro, we haven't even talked about the fucking show, and
No.
we're way too excited right now.
Dude, and I want to bring up one more news article I'm going to bring to you before we hit that TNA show and talk about the pay-per-view. I got to talk about this video game, okay? Because it's worth talking about, in my opinion. It's worth talking about. So we've gotten some, smaller indie games that are kind of coming out. We got that Retro Mania wrestling game that's got that really old school feel to it, the old graphics, whatnot. It's got a decent roster. It's got Jeff Cobb. It has Johnny Impact before he was signed with WWE. It's got Tommy Dreamer. Nick Aldis is in it. Cole Cabana's in it. There's going to be more. You can actually pre-order it on Xbox right now. So there's that game coming out. But then there's this new game by developers, Virtual Basement, and they are creating this modern looking game, modern graphics, going to compete against WWE 2K. I mean, that's what they're going for. They are going all in. They are going to sign a ton of wrestlers, and they've already signed a ton of wrestlers. And some of the roster that we got, I mean, just check this out. We got Ken Shamrock, we got Brian Cage, we got Rich Swann, Sue Young, Iva Lise, Zicky Dice is in it. They just signed the Ascension. They got Kenny King. They got Crime Time. I mean, damn, when was the last time you played as them in a game?
Wait. You said they got Crime Time?
They got Crime Time. They signed Crime Time. Yeah.
How the fuck did they do that with WWE?
They're not in there. They're free agents. They've been free agents for a while.
Even if they're a WWE product and they've been out long enough, they can still use the name.
So I don't. Okay. So yeah, I think they just changed like the Y to an I.
Okay.
That's how they can get away from it. Yeah. I think so.
Shit,
yeah.
bro. You know what? I don't know why I even thought of Crime Time and Shaw Samuels. Shaw Samuels was the guy that you were talking about. That's with ICW. That was in British Boot Camp.
Yes.
And
yes.
A lot of people don't know, but he was really slapping the shit out of Grado. Now I can't tell you why I know that, but I can tell you I know that. All those slaps you see, he was slapping him up like a bitch because he was told to rough him the fuck up. And my fault because the game looks amazing. Not looks, but I'm excited because we're stuck with a WWE product every time we want to get a wrestling game.
Yep.
And me and you, like, we always talk, and I know you like the Fire Pro and the old school game, and I always say this, gameplay, Fire Pro is awesome. WWE is super glitchy. You'll always hear, like this last one that was out, how many people have you heard say, oh, the fucking, the handle was trash, like the engine was horrible. So
yeah.
If you put out a product where, okay, fine, we're not getting the John Cena's and everybody else, the Bray Wyatts. But if you're giving me like everybody else and the gameplay is dope and the graphics look good, they don't even got to be great. But if the graphics look good, yo, I'm gonna go cop this myself, like without a question. You know what I mean? Like, why would I not?
Right.
I'm tired of being, and I'm not trying to cut you off. I'm tired of being forced that if I want to play a wrestling game with my kid, I got to buy WWE product, which is a shitty product. And I'm not just shitting on WWE. That's not my thing. A lot of their games were dope, but the last few have been trash.
Yeah, 2K20 was awful with glitches, and they just didn't fix it. Right now you can buy it for $20. It did terrible. There's a reason why there's other companies now attacking when they know there's an opportunity now, because it's not like these 2K games are lighting the world on fire. This game is the first wrestling video game that isn't modeling the old look of Fire Pro or the Retro Mania or that Chikara one that came out. This is like the first game that is legit going for a modern day look and is actually going to compete against that modern day 2K look. And I mean, they got wrestlers. They're not tied to any promotion, but they're getting guys from Impact and they're getting guys from Ring of Honor, and they got some guys from NWA. I mean, you even got Ivalise, you got Kylie Ray's in the game. I mean, this roster is looking really good, and they're planning on getting like at least 90 wrestlers, is what I've been told. I mean, that's a hell of a roster, and a lot of these people they're getting to are like up and comers that haven't been signed to any place. So I think that's really cool.
Does it have a name yet? Or is there any like way to YouTube it so we could send people to it?
There's been a couple articles about it. There's been some YouTubers that have had access to look at it, but I can tell you this thing's it's a real thing. It's not just a fake. A lot of these wrestlers have been tweeting the contracts that they've been given. The company is Virtual Basement, so check them out on Twitter. They update, the wrestlers they've been signing every week, and they've already shown what the models are going to look like. The models look sick. We do not have a game right now. We don't have a game name yet. This is it's still, early stages of production. It will come out because this studio has made games that are pretty popular. They make that Arc game that was popular for Xbox One and PS4. So this game, this is a legit, video game company. It's, and that's like one of the hardest things when you're a wrestling company is to get a video game company to make the game for you. So, we don't have a name yet, but there's articles. There's a Sports Illustrated article on it. I will send it your way, and you can look at it.
No, I appreciate it. And let me tell you something. You heard it here first. My man Hurls is dropping news on you that you're going to get excited for.
I was so pumped when I saw this. I mean, when they got Su Yung, like, I'm just going to wreak havoc with Su Yung all day. And, like, I keep checking their page.
She's going to dominate everybody.
I literally keep checking their page every day to see if there's like new talents that just signed, because like there's so much good talent they could get. Like they can get any Impact person, they can get any Ring of Honor person, they can get anybody that's a free agent. So there's more to come. I'm sure we're gonna get some more legends. I mean, they got Ken Shamrock already. They got Matt Sydal. I forgot to say he signed too. But this roster is looking good. I mean, they got Alex Riley, who used to be in WWE. I mean, they got Bull Dempsey, who used to be in WWE. They got a solid roster already, and they're just keep adding guys left and right. So they want a huge roster, and I think that's going to be really cool. And I mean, if they got some really cool creative features, I think this game's going to be really dope.
Bro, you already know when this game drops, we're doing a pod just on this game.
Oh, that's fine by me. That's fine by me.
I'm just saying. I'm throwing it out there. Like we're definitely doing it, and I don't care what anyone thinks. We're gonna do it. If it gets 2 views, we're doing 2 views. But we're definitely throwing that content out there.
And I gotta ask you, man, is the little man know about this yet?
I was telling him something, and he was like, we don't got to get a WWE. He's an Impact kid. He kind of grew up in the Impact zone, so he's biased. Like when I forced him to go, we got tickets. I'm not going to say by who because they get in trouble. We got tickets by somebody to go to EC3's debut, and I I was like, cool, you know what I mean? Like, let's go. And he was like, nah, I ain't going. I'm like, yo, dude, you got to go. It's like his debut. And, you're an EC3 Mark. And he's like, don't call me a Mark. He's a kid. So he's like, whatever. And he grew up with that biasness that he hates WWE, will not buy WWE products, hates them, won't play a game. Like when I play it, it got to have all logos away from WWE. So when I told him, I said, hey, this game's coming out. My guy Hurls was telling me, he was like, you always argue with Hurls. I'm like, yeah, we do. But listen. And he's like, well, let's just get it already. I'm like, no, it's not even out yet. You got to take it easy. So he's a little fired up for it. Yeah. He's like, oh, man, we're going to get it. I'm going to create my guy. It's the big homie Bram. I was like, relax. There's like 9 names in it. So he is fired up in it.
Man, I mean, hey, you never know. Bram, I mean, they might reach out to Bram and have him sign a contract to be in the game. So,
do me a favor. Tweet me the link, and I'm going to tweet it to him, and I'm going to talk some shit. Watch.
Yes. Do it. Please do it. Because, I would love to get Bram in a game. I'd love to get anybody who's not been in a game, get them in a game. And, I mean, the North, I want Sami Callihan. I want, Ring of Honor, get the whole Ring of Honor roster, NWA, whoever.
Everybody. Let's get everybody.
Yeah, anybody who can be in this game. I mean, WWE's got their guys. I mean, AEW is rumored to be signing with Ukes. We'll see if that actually happens, but there's no news on that. But this is like a legit thing. It's been circulating, these contracts. Everybody's looking at them. It's just amazing how much they've already gotten. But yeah, tweet Bram, get whatever you can.
Oh, that's definitely going to happen.
Yeah. So, all right. So, let's jump into Impact, man. Let's talk about TNA, the 1 hour special. We're going to start with that this week. We're going to start with that, and we'll give our thoughts and what we thought of the show. So let's just go like segment by segment. We got Hernandez versus Chase Stevens. We'll give a little background. Hernandez comes into TNA from the first time I saw him. It was early 2004. Okay, he comes in. They had a name. They were like Jeff Jarrett's henchmen. Just a crazy looking gimmick. Like they were like soldiers almost. And this was the first time I ever saw Hernandez. Okay, it wasn't LAX. It was this gimmick. I can't even remember what they were called. It was so long ago. But he comes in as like Jeff Jarrett's soldiers. And then that kind of gets scrapped. And then we get the birth of LAX, which was amazing because if you look at LAX's inception, like they were not the same guys. I think Hernandez got actually added later. You got a guy named like Machete, but Hernandez and Homicide were the ones that stuck. Hernandez made, just part of one of the greatest TNA tag teams of all time. So tonight we saw him versus Chase Stevens. They had a pretty, okay match. They both looked good, still looked good, in good shape. Chase Stevens, he was part of the Naturals. They were like 2-time TNA Tag Team Champions, I think. They were like a young up-and-coming team. They didn't last long, but they definitely got the gold a few times. So, I guess give your opinions on these two guys and like what'd you think of this?
Surprisingly, and I say this all the time, I love Hernandez. I'm a big LAX guy. He usually comes off really stiff. And I'm not saying like stiff bad, but like he's a huge dude. You know what I mean? Like, and he's not obviously old school TNA jumping over the top rope and doing all that cool stuff. But listen, this match was really good. Like when I started watching it, I said, man, give me a link so I could refresh my mind so I could watch this because, we were doing this tonight. And you hit me off, and I was like, man, like this match now focused on it because I was doing this. I'm like, this was a damn good starting match. Like this was a real good match, and I was surprised because, you would think these guys are not as young, so you would think a little bit's out the tank, but what a freaking solid match. I was actually sitting back like, damn, this is a dope first match. Like I appreciated it. I thought Hernandez looked really good. I would like to see more of Hernandez. You know what I mean? Like even if he gets a younger guy, of course my dogs want to bark at 11:34 at night. If he gets a younger guy, if Homicide doesn't come back and we don't see like an OGs or LAX 2.0 and nothing like that, I would love to see him take another guy and kind of mentor him. You know what I mean? Or maybe do a kind of like, oh my God, what's Chavo's uncle that was with them for a while?
Oh, wasn't that gosh, not Gory, Mondo Guerrero?
Yeah. I would love,
Yeah.
I would love to see him kind of do that to bring in, I mean, he don't got to be Latino unless you're really going to try to bring the LAX back and bring a young guy in. I would love to see him kind of take that mentor role because, listen, Hernandez, when you think TNA, he's a big part of the TNA legacy.
Oh yeah, no question. I mean, and you could have Salinas come back. She's out there. I mean, she's a free agent. She was part of LAX for a while, and she hasn't done anything since really, being in TNA. She had that one match with Rebel that was like considered one of the worst matches of all time. That wasn't very good. That was like her last ever appearance, but as a manager, like, why not? Like if you really, really wanted to do something, you could. But, and Chase Stevens, man, that was crazy. Like the Naturals, like they were like young, young up and comers. And, they were, you thought like they were going to just really progress to be one of the TNA's main tag teams. And they were managed by Chris Candido before he died. And then Shane Douglas took over managing them. I think it's just crazy. Like they won the titles a couple times, and then man, you never saw it. And like apparently Andy Douglas ain't even in the wrestling business anymore. He's like a accountant or something crazy like that. But,
wow.
Yeah, something crazy. He had like an office job, cut hair, and it's like he was really good. And Chase Stevens, he's still he's been doing his thing in Tennessee and Georgia, all the South. He's been wrestling on the Indies and. He's bulked up a lot. So he's not like the high flyer he once was. I'd compare more to like a James Storm now, but just crazy. I mean, you had two of these wrestlers. They were both from successful tag teams. And it was just interesting to see where, their careers have gone. And, Hernandez at one point was being lined up to get to be the heavyweight champion. They sent him down to AAA. They were grooming him to just be this huge Mexican star, and they wanted him to be the champion, but the plans just never really materialized. I know Dixie Carter was a huge fan of Hernandez. So
yes,
it's too bad.
Yes, he was.
And the crazy thing about Hernandez, the one thing that I think they screwed up on was when he won the Feast or Fire and he got that world title shot. He cashed it in a triple threat match, so it became a fatal four-way. I'm like, that makes no sense at all. That was the one thing I really think that was his pinnacle right there. I think that was it. And it just, it made no sense.
No sense. He was hot, and it just made no sense to do what they did.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a hell of a talent. I love the border toss. It's such a great finishing move because it's different enough from the Razor's Edge. It's got its own style to it. So, yeah, just crazy. So, all right. So then we had like a Raven video package, just kind of explaining the Clockwork House of Fun match. I mean, these matches were crazy too. I mean, you watched the one with Jeff Hardy. The one with Abyss, like there was so many weapons inside that structure. It's basically a cage match, but a bunch of different weapons all over the place. What did you think of Raven's promo and I guess the history of these matches? There wasn't a lot of them, but
no, there wasn't a lot, but the ones they had were epic. You know what I mean? So I think the entire like the intro and seeing the old people that we when we were younger, we were loving them. You know what I mean? Like, you're seeing all the matches, all the guys that were coming through. When you see these, you're like, oh, man, I remember that. Or geez, this was crazy. So just reminiscing and then going through it, I thought this was fire. Like, this kind of set the tone for it. And but one knock on the whole thing is that it wasn't the full pay-per-view that we were expecting. And, we obviously know why because of, all the craziness going around. But man, this one, this promo was fire. I mean, I've never been a big Raven guy, but woo, this was badass.
Yeah, let's go. Let's kind of dive into Raven's history because he's got a long ass history. I mean, what was your first exposure to Raven? Like what promotion? Because he was in all
I
of them.
think. What? Wait, when did he start doing Quote the Raven? Was that WCW?
He actually started
no,
that.
ECW.
He actually started in the ECW, but he was known as Johnny Polo in WWF. Early 90s. He was a manager. He did some commentary.
Shit.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't remember him in WWF at all.
Dude, his character was so different. It was so different, man. It was just a heel, but like not anything close to Raven, man. He didn't develop that until he went to ECW.
Okay, because I must say I remember him from ECW, and me and my boys used to go over there, and we used to go there kind of wild out, a little bugged out. But I remember from ECW, and I was like, man, this dude is bugged out. Like, he was a wild dude. But I think that I've never been a huge fan of ECW, and I don't want to make people upset, but I'm gonna keep it a buck. 'Cause what I do. I thought ECW was completely overrated. But when he came to Impact, I was like, oh man, like this is the Raven I wanted. You know what I mean? And to me, Impact or TNA, when he came to TNA, because that's what it was, TNA was such a bigger platform and was done so much better that Raven looked so much doper than he ever did in any promotion he ever worked for than TNA.
Yeah, I mean, my first like real impression of him was WCW because I stopped watching WWF in the mid 90s and I didn't get back into wrestling until WCW like 97. So I saw this guy come out to the, sit by the ringside and, he started getting followers like the Ravens flock. And I actually really enjoyed this guy's promo. He was something a little different. They always used to call him the spoiled rich kid.
Listen, name one person from the Ravens flock. Go ahead, name one.
Any of them?
Anybody. I don't care who it is. If you got a name, I'd be impressed right now.
Kidman.
Wow, kudos. When people say that shit, I always tell them, like, name somebody, because you know what I mean? Like, I give you respect on that. Go ahead.
Oh, dude, I mean, they had a lot of guys that they were, like, trying to build up that were kind of nobodies before. You had Steven Richards was a part of it for a little bit, if you remember. You had Reese, the big 7-footer they had in the group. You had Van Hammer. He was like the WCW pet project. They're always trying to get this guy over, and they never really did. And don't forget Perry Saturn. I mean, that's where Perry Saturn started. When
wow,
he came into
WCW.
About
Perry Saturn.
Yeah.
You know what the fucked up part is? When you said his name, I remember how they fucked with him in WWE and they gave him a stupid mop. Because the rings of Saturn was serious in WCW.
Oh, damn, I love that move. Dude, Saturn was getting so over at that point. But yeah, like when he signed, he was with Raven's flock for a long time. And, you had Reese and Van Hammer, and then you got Scotty Riggs. And remember Riggs, he was the first guy to lose his eye. Like with the whole John Moxley thing right now, yeah, that was Riggs. Riggs did that first with Raven's flock, and after they made him lose his eye, he joined the flock. And almost like, you know what I mean? Like the beaten wife syndrome type thing, So, yeah, you had him, and then you had Sick Boy. They had all those guys, man. And it's just crazy to reminisce about, all that stuff that was like over 20 years ago now. It's just crazy. But yeah, that was my first taste of when I ever saw Raven. And then, he went back to ECW. He signed that 1-year deal after he left WCW, and he did a lot of cool stuff. I think he won the title there. And then, he went over to WWF, and we all remember that WrestleMania match he had with Big Show and Kane in that hardcore. But yeah, man, they just didn't use him that well. And then we saw his, TNA debut, and that was that was really good when he came after Jeff Jarrett. And then when he won the world title for the first time in the King of the Mountain match, I was really excited because I thought he deserved it at that time. So, yeah, just cool to see Raven back because I think he has a lot to do with TNA's history. Like, he was one of the very first big names that jumped ship. You know what I'm saying? So, like, they had guys like Scott Hall at the debut. They had Ken Shamrock at the debut. But, Raven was one of those first guys that jumped ship. And, I'll never forget that sign that said McMahon fears Raven. That was great.
That was a dope sign. That was official.
Yep. And he had some great matches with Abyss and Jeff Hardy and, some good stuff. So I enjoyed that. All right. So then we had the Scott Steiner promo. Literally, the dude almost died after this, but he survived. Scott Steiner promo. What did you think of the promo? What do you think of Joey Ryan's new gimmick? Do you like it compared to his old gimmick? And I guess, what did you think of the promo to start off?
The promo was all right. Like, I was like, all right, this is okay. Yeah. I don't know what I'm a Scott Steiner guy. You know what I mean? Like, I love him, but not this or that. And I am so anti, like, Joey Ryan on another level. Like, you could call me a hater and I'll accept it. So anything he does, I'm just so against it. I just don't even care. And it's crazy because I've never met the guy. I don't know nothing. Like, I have no interaction with him. But anything he does, I'm like, man, fuck this guy. I don't want to see him. I don't want to hear his fucking theme music. Like, there's nothing about this guy that I want to see, hear, or you know what, man? We're trying to be positive. You do what you do because there's nothing positive about to come out of my mouth.
All right. So I'm just going to say that, like, Joey Ryan, like, his first run in TNA made me laugh when he started kind of doing the porn star, 70s, 80s porn star thing. But, when he got released, he went on the indie scene and, like, made this thing just as crazy as you could possibly think of. The whole dick flip thing. That's when I was like, okay, I cannot take that. I can't do that. And I was like, I do not want to see this anymore. And when he started doing this, like, kind of rights to censor type gimmick, the cancel culture, they're called, I actually started enjoying this. I thought it was a much needed gimmick change for him. And I'm not saying I'm really digging it, but at the same time, I'm like, he needed something else because I could not stand what he was doing with the whole, dick thing. And I'm just liking it, I guess, because it's something different. It gets him away from that crazy stuff. But I actually thought that Scott Steiner promo was really good. And I enjoyed this interaction between those two. I don't know if it was setting up a match or not, but so I thought it was okay. But, Steiner, he's one of the greats in the business. The dude doesn't get enough respect for, like, his early part of the year when he was hella athletic, doing, standing Hurricane Ranas. He called them the Frankensteiners. This guy was, he was a hell of a worker. And then later he, kind of developed that whole Big Papa Pump gimmick. Was former WCW world champion, came over to WWE, kind of was shit on, but TNA really revitalized his career. He has one of the most iconic promos in TNA, and that thing's been carried on.
If nobody's seen that mathematics shit, that's one of the greatest promos I've ever seen in my life.
I mean, when Wendy's is tweeting about it, you made it with that promo. So, oh man, and I encourage everybody to go on YouTube and check out Samoa Joe's reaction to it and Petey Williams' reaction to it and what everybody was thinking while he was doing it, because there's a great story to be told there. But Steiner, one of my favorites, one of my dad's favorites too. So I always got to mark out for Steiner. Yeah, he's up there in age now, but he could still cut a mic. still go on the mic and still give a great promo. So I enjoyed this part.
All I want to say about Scott Steiner, it's been so cool seeing him and watching him perform and everything else at the Zone. But my man Jay used to bring his Puerto Rican flag, and I got to throw this story out there because we're talking Steiner. We used to bring it out for LAX, and they used to come over by us, and we go crazy, screaming shit out, bugging out. And one day, Scott Steiner, I'm holding one side of it. He rips it out of my guy Jay's hand, and I'm holding it. I'm looking at him, and he's like, let it go. And I'm like, nah, you're not touching my flag, dog. And he's like, chill, Poppy. Yo, when he said chill, Poppy, that shit, I was like, what the fuck did, I let go. I was like, what the fuck did he just say? And, he just sounded so relaxed, so normal. And, you're so used to, aggressive Scott Steiner.
Yeah,
When he said it, I was like, what the fuck? And they were like, yo, he's a chill Poppy. I was like, yo, he can have that shit. Do what you got to do. And he's like, I'm not going to spit on it. I'm a fake like it. I was like, yeah, just throw it back to us. And, he threw it back to us when the camera switched over. But, yo, my God, that shit had me dying. A lot of people think that he's just raging lunatic, which probably is. But, he's so interactive with the fans that as long as you don't touch this guy, he's going to do some wild shit. You're going to see I try to tell people, these old school guys, they know how to maneuver around a crowd. You know what I mean? And that's the dope part, that a lot of these young guys, they don't know how to work a crowd.
Right. That's just it. And I mean, a lot of it goes with experience, but I think a lot of it too is some of these young guys were just pushed so fast. They didn't really get to, cut their teeth, so to speak, on the indies and, just work your way up and go at a nice pace, not just get shot up right away. And, guys like Steiner, I mean, he's seen it all, been on the road, so this guy, he gets it, there's just guys that get it, and he's one of them. And you know what, though, when you were saying that about that, you remember Scott Steiner almost died in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
And in 2006, 2007, he had that match against Apollo in Puerto Rico, and he had to be rushed to the hospital right away, and they had to do that surgery. And he was like, man, I mean, it's just been crazy. He had surgery, emergency surgery in Puerto Rico, and the guy pulled through and he made it. And just crazy, all the stuff. And then we heard of the reports that he had, he passed out backstage at these very TNA tapings, and they had the medical staff back there, and they basically saved his life because he was right by the medical staff. They were able to get him to the hospital quickly. So just really cool. And he's going to make 100% recovery. So that was very good to hear. All right. So then second match we had the tag team match. We had Johnny Swinger and Kid Cash versus Manic and Suicide. What did you think of this?
I love this. I love Suicide for so many things. I mean, a lot of people don't know that Suicide was only created because of a video game. So I'm a big Suicide fan. Listen, my guy Crooked, he's going to go nuts because if you listen to what we've been doing over here, everything is TJP, everything, and it's driving me nuts. So I want to hate on this guy. Yeah, I want to hate on this guy right now because I hear how great he is every 2 seconds. And but no, awesome real shit though. No gimmick stuff, no trying to make people laugh for a podcast. This is a really good match, and I was surprised at the level of Kid Cash, to be honest with you, the way he moved around and the match played out. He told the story, and a lot of, like I said, a lot of these guys, man, it takes a lot to be able to tell a story in a ring. It's not just athletic ability. There's a lot that goes into this, and being a veteran the way he was, he was able to tell a story, and I felt that he was probably, I thought the marquee person in the match. I thought he was fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, Kid Cash is great. I've always enjoyed his work. He's another guy. He has literally been in every company you can think of. I mean, he started in ECW, had that Kid Rock look to him. And then if you remember, he was in WCW the last month before it closed. So it's you barely got to see him there. And then, TNA picked him up and he really made that X Division shine. I mean, he was one of the first, X Division challengers. I mean, everyone thinks of AJ, think of Low Key, think of Christopher Daniels, Amazing Red, but Kid Cash was there too. I mean, and then you had Dallas. His name was Dallas at the time. He later turned into Lance Hoyt, who is now Lance Archer in AEW. But you had Kid Cash just owning that X Division, and I believe they even had the tag team titles for a small bit. But and then he went over to WWE. He was in there, and I think he was in a tag team called the Pitbulls with Jamie Noble. They didn't do too hot, and then kind of came back over to TNA. But man, Kid Cash, he's been around, and I've always enjoyed his work. I always thought he was a really good worker, and the stuff that he can still do is really amazing at his age. But man, he's a good hand to have. He's just a guy that can work a good match, make somebody look really well, and he just gets it. And Johnny Swinger, another guy. He's been in WCW. He was in ECW. He was in WWE real quickly. I don't even know if he made it to live TV, but this dude, he's a former TNA Tag Team Champion as well. So, just two guys that are mostly known probably for their ECW work, but they had a good match. I mean, TJP as Manic, we all remember him in the Revolution and whatnot, and then you got Suicide based on the video game character. I mean, this was a good match. It was like an old versus new kind of thing. I really enjoyed it. So, so then we had some promo about the knockouts. I mean, who could forget all the knockouts that were there? And, there's been a ton. I got to say, who is besides Gail Kim, let's just throw Gail Kim out, okay? Because we all know that she's our favorite knockout of all time. Who's your second favorite knockout of all time?
Wow, that's a tough one. I wish I would have known this before you said it, because I got like 6 names in my head. I want to say Taya because I love Taya. I love her body of work. But I feel like it would be an injustice to use somebody, and she's been there for at least 2 years, 3 years. So, oh, man. My pick's going to be horrible because people are going to complain and bitch and cry. But I don't even want to say it. Wow. Who do I pick at that? It's such a hard pick because if I go Sue Young, it's like, oh, you're playing the new versus the old. If I pick Ty, it's the same thing. If I pick Velvet Sky, people are going to – you know what? I'm going to go Velvet Sky. Fuck everybody. I love Velvet Sky, the queen of New York. Let's get it popping, baby. She knows what it is. It is what it is. If you got a problem, oh, well. But I'm going to – see, my thing was I wanted to pick Winter because I love Winter. I thought – but the thing is, I don't think Winter ever progressed as far as I think she should have.
Right.
But she was so talented. I never understood the whole lesbo thing. I was like, okay, it's not needed. But I mean, Angelina Love, she's another one. But I would go Velvet. How do I not say Awesome Kong? Shit.
Yeah, Kong was.
When I thought about that, I was like, how do I not say Awesome? I'm going to go Velvet Sky because it's the unpopular pick, and I love Mama Khan because she's an amazing, beautiful person. But I'm going to say Velvet Sky because she's a heel. I'm going to go with a heel, Velvet Sky.
All right, wow. Velvet Sky, 2-time Knockouts champion, I believe. I mean, she's gotten some big pushes throughout her career. I mean, started with the Beautiful People. She's had an amazing TNA career. There's no question. Let the Pigeons Loose. One of the most iconic TNA scenes of all time. I mean, how can you go wrong with that pick? You really can't. I mean, there's so many knockouts, though. There really is. Like, I can't pick just, like, one, but I'm gonna just for this conversation's sake. I mean, I really thought Sarita was one of the most talented that they've had. She really didn't get a long time there, but, she was a Knockouts Tag Team Champion. I really enjoyed Awesome Kong's work. Just amazing. There's not much you can say. I enjoyed ODB just for the funniness of it, but she's had some really good matches throughout her career.
What about Mickey James.
Dude, Mickey James's TNA run was awesome. It was awesome.
Amazing.
It was. There
Even
was
though-
not a down point.
No. Besides the fact she got killed by a train, but
That's right. That's right. Oh man. Yeah, dude, I loved Mickey James's run in TNA. I thought it was just awesome.
if you had to pick a two, who would be your second though? That's a fucking tough one.
Well, Tara. I mean, Tara had such a great TNA run too.
Wow. How did I forget Tara?
Yeah.
Dude, she's my, what's fucking nuts right now is I feel like I just fucked up because she's my favorite, like with the whole spider and the motorcycle joint. Like,
Yes.
dude, I blew, you know what that was? That was a brain fart. I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going to say, the Elvis guy because I fucked up because I can't just say, oh, no, you're right. I got to jump on this one. But, oh, my God, Tara, she was legit, man. Like, she put the work in. And she was like a hitman for like another female, right? Like, she came in.
Yes, I believe so. I can't remember. Oh man, like it's kind of running. Oh, man, I do. She had a pretty memorable debut. I do remember that, but her run was really good. Like she won the Knockouts title quite a few times too.
Yeah, and when that's what I'm saying. When she came in for like a few episodes, she was just with the bike helmet on because she didn't debut yet. She just kept coming out with the bike helmet and interfering, helping out.
Oh, that was Madison Rayne.
Madison Rayne. There you go. Yep. There you go. I couldn't remember who it was.
Yep, Madison Rayne. And then, I might be on the minority, but I really enjoyed Madison Rayne. I think her mic work is stellar. Her in-ring work isn't as great, but I think her mic work is really good. Like when she turned into the Killer Queen, oh man, I loved it. I really did.
Listen,
man.
I liked her until I seen how tiny she was, and I was like, this is bullshit.
Yeah. She's tiny. She really is tiny. I mean, she's been a 5-time Knockouts champion. That's crazy to believe. Just crazy. Yeah, Angelina Love. I mean, the list goes on. But, I mean, Mia Yim, she had a memorable run, even though it was short. Gosh, I mean, you had Allie, you had just the Sue Young. I mean, you go to today, Rosemary, Sue Young, all them Havoc. Wow.
You got to pick one, brother. You got to pick one.
All right. I'm actually going to go Tara at 2. Because I feel like her matches were, bar none, one of the great. They were really good. Like, I'm talking character work and match quality. I think she had some great matches. And a lot of them were with Mickey James. And those two tore the house down a lot of times. A lot of them were with Gail. But, wow, they were just really good.
What about, I thought you were going to say the girl, and I always forget her name. She was like a Playboy model, and she was in Dollhouse.
Taryn Terrell?
Taryn Terrell. She was a referee, too. Like, I thought you were going to say her.
She was really good, but I feel like, she didn't last as long as I would have liked.
True.
And I think the thing was, like, I think we would have gotten more of Taryn Terrell, but she had that where she couldn't travel overseas, or she couldn't travel to another country because she had that battery charge.
Oh, shit, that's right.
Yeah, Impact signed her, and they brought her back. They wanted to sign her. She was going to sign, but then yo, you got to go to Canada, and she couldn't go to Canada. So it was like, oh, I can't do this. So, Taryn's up there. She really progressed like huge. I mean, she got over, and nobody thought she could wrestle either. That was the crazy thing. I think that's probably the most surprise about her. Most surprising.
Yeah, because she fed to us as a referee for a while.
She was.
Yeah.
And she was in WWE. She was the commissioner of ECW and just crazy. I mean, there's been a lot of knockouts that TNA has just done phenomenal work with. Look at Brooke Tessmacher. Look at her. I mean,
fact.
Dude, nobody thought she could wrestle. Nobody.
Listen, that match. that match where she beat Gail, right? The first match, the first time she ever won the title was against Gail, right?
Yes, yes.
Listen, I don't care what you thought prior. If you thought she was a bum or a jobber or whatever, word you want to use, that match versus fucking Gail put her on a different level, and she never looked back after that.
Right, right. Yeah, she was hugely over, insanely over. I mean, the knockouts, man, they started the women's revolution that we know today. There's no question. Like they like when women's wrestling became what it is today because of that TNA knockouts division. So it's just, I think there's
all that bullshit of the women's revolution that WWE gets credit for is absolute bullshit.
Right. They didn't start that. I mean, they were still doing, bikini contest and, bra and panties matches. I mean, nothing wrong with that, but like, let's not go there, WWE. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. I mean, hell, you could even think like Christy Hemme was getting primed to get that knockouts title at one point, before she stopped wrestling. Yeah. So, just crazy. So that was good to have a trip down memory lane. And then the main event, we had Rhino versus Madman Fulton for the this was the preview for the Clockwork House of Fun match. Rhino and Madman Fulton. I like both these guys. I've always been a huge fan of Rhino. He just kind of goes out there, does his thing. Impact's made it a point to kind of make him sound like his ECW Rhino. And I think that's a lot of credit goes to Don Callis, because I think that's when Rhino was like at his, like, I love that character that he was portrayed in, ECW. And then he came over to WWE, and it was like watered down Rhino, And then I think TNA just kind of brought that back out of him. So I enjoyed this stuff. And you had the whole brawl with OVE coming out, and then you had you had Tommy Dreamer, and then you had the lights come out, and you had Raven come out there and hit him with kendos, and then to the shock of no one, he hits the kendo on Tommy Dreamer with their endless feud. But what'd you think of this? And then you had the brawl with Kid Cash, Manic Suicide, Hernandez. They all come out there, and they end with that crazy brawl that TNA is known for. It seemed like they always had those great brawls at the end. I just loved it. What did you think of this whole thing?
You know what? I'm anti-Rhino. You know what I mean? I don't like Rhino. I never did like Rhino. My best memory of Rhino, and I always forget who he wrestled. I think it might have been AJ Styles when they were going up the cage, not the cage, like this. Oh my God! Remember when he was afraid of heights and he had to wrestle and he was afraid to get on the top? Who was he wrestling?
Oh yeah, that was Rhino versus AJ Styles, Elevation X.
Styles. Yeah. Dude, that's my favorite message, like my favorite match of all times of Rhino, just to see him petrified.
Damn. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember watching that, and I was hyped up. It was me and my brother, and he was he's an ECW guy, so my brother was like, "Oh, you're a dick," and I'm like, "Oh man, fuck this guy." So it was so cool to watch and be afraid of it. But no, this match was really good because listen, Rhino's a name. Anyone who is a wrestling fan from anybody knows who Rhino is. And Fulton, this is, as much as I hate seeing all the ECW guys and I get the nostalgia stuff, but I like Fulton going against bigger guys. Like, I don't want to see Fulton versus 160-pound guys my size. You know what I mean? Like, right. I don't want to see 180, because I'm 185. But, I don't want to see him versus little guys because he's a big dude. So seeing somebody who's as box figure as him, and listen, Rhino still looks good in the ring. He still moves around well. And I enjoyed it. I love the brawl. I mean, listen, a lot of people – you've attended an Impact show, right?
Oh, yeah. I was in the Impact Zone. Yep.
So you know what happens at the end of shows, how, when the camera goes off, they still do things.
Yep.
So this felt like that. This felt vintage. This felt like how they give back to their fan base. A little, just a taste, like here's the cherry on top of being a fan. I loved it. I love the aggressiveness. I love the fight. The match was a solid match too. Let me not take nothing away from that. Fulton looked fucking great in this match. You know what I mean? Like,
He did. He did.
Yeah, 100%. This should push Fulton to another level. This should push him closer to, holy shit, we got something with this guy, and you never know, he might be, that guy we could put the belt around at one point. So I thought this was executed perfectly. I thought that this was a great match. I thought the ending was a tribute to everything we loved TNA for. I thought they hit on all cylinders.
Yeah, dude, and that's what I loved about the brawl. The brawl. I mean, that's what TNA, like, they did that all the time, but it was great. I mean, one of my favorite Impact episodes is from 2009 when they had the riot, when the whole roster was just fighting around the whole Impact zone. Like, you couldn't even keep track of everything that was going on. They had the security cameras, and you could see, like, people just using trash cans all around the Impact zone. It was just a phenomenal episode, but it's like, dude, this is awesome. I mean, this is why, I'm still a wrestling fan. I don't think if there was no TNA, I probably would have stopped watching wrestling a long time ago. And this is what I love, like these brawls, anything can happen type atmosphere. I think that's what I love. Hernandez doing the Superman dive and Kid Cash doing the flip bomb. I mean, that's just awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
it was good.
It's so true, because at one point, like, I think after the NWO kind of fell apart, me and my guys kind of just, stuck to being street kids. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, oh, okay, you try to watch them going back to WWF, and it was a flop. It was trash.
It was.
It's like at that point, we're bad kids and all that other shit. So it was like, oh, all right, fuck wrestling. You know what I mean? And at one point, TNA had came in, and me, my son, and my brother, we were in a Blockbuster, and we got a DVD, and ever since we got that, it was just fucking TNA was the shit. You know what I mean? Like, it made me a fan again. You know what I mean? Like, so if there's no TNA, I don't give a fuck. Like, even if I move out to Florida, if there's no TNA, I don't care about wrestling. You know what I mean? Like, I dislike WWE to the point of not being entertained. Obviously, you have The Rock and Austin and that, but everything outside of that was like, okay, so besides your main event, 5 guys, fuck everybody else.
Right.
TNA was a product from on your first match could be your main event, and I don't give a shit what anyone says. If you want to debate it, let's get it popping. Put your name in here. I'll put you on a show. We get it in. Yep. But from the beginning of the show to the very end, everything was quality wrestling. So TNA, man, without TNA, I'm going to tell you now, even WWE takes a hit because there was no competition anywhere else.
Right. That was it. Like, you would have not known about anything really until like you would have just been stuck. That's exactly what you have been, stuck on WWE. Just, and when I saw Triple H just bury the whole WCW roster, I was just like, I'm done. I can't take it anymore. And then lo and behold, TNA shows up. I'm like, on Fox Sports Net, weird time of the day, like 4 p.m. on a Friday. And that's when it debuted. But I was like 19 at the time. So I was like, well, I'm home anyways. I'm just going to college, I'm not doing anything really. So Fridays, I turned this on. I'm like, I was instantly hooked. I was just like, this is great. Like, their roster's not as good right now, but damn, they put everything into these shows, and they make you actually care about these guys. So I enjoyed it ever since that point. I don't think I ever missed an episode. So it was good. Good stuff.
It's funny because it was Consequences Creed and Jay Lethal is when I got introduced to it. So obviously there was some time that I missed. Now, obviously being a fan, I went backwards and know the history. But I bought like 4 or 5 DVDs in Blockbuster for like $9, and I'm not trying to. I really want to have like an Impact Zone. I got the perfect people for it. We'll definitely do it. But I got my son's birthday. I was like, yo, you want like a WWE DVD? It's like $39.99 for like the newest pay-per-view or whatever. And the guy in Blockbuster on it's right next to Woodside Projects on Northern Boulevard. It's literally right there. And the young kid was like, "Yo, you know about TNA?" I was like, "Nah, my nigga, what the fuck is TNA?" He's like,
Right.
"Yo, it's new wrestling shit, da 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 da. They got this AJ Styles white boy," and I'm like, "What?" Like, obviously he's a project kid, so he's talking wild in the middle of Blockbuster aisle, like he works there. So I'm like, okay, and I got like 4 DVDs for $9.99. So I'm like, you can get 4 DVDs of this shit we've never seen. I ain't say shit. My son was a little kid. So I'm like, 4 DVDs we've never seen before, or you get the pay per view right now, WWE or F, whatever it was. He's like, nah, let's get the 4. Being a smart kid, let's get 4 DVDs instead of 1.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So I literally came into when it was SoCal Val, kind of like Consequences Creed or whatever his name was, trying to fight for SoCal Val, and you know what I mean. Like I was like, what? I was like, what the fuck am I watching right now? But they had that red, what was that dome where the circle was out the top?
Oh yeah. Man, they called it the X Division Escape Match. It was like gosh, I don't even remember the name of that cage. Homicide hated it, but
Dude.
yeah.
And I watched that shit and I was like, what the fuck am I watching?
Man.
Like, and then they had like the Ultimate X, and that's when AJ Styles is getting like power bombed off of the ropes at the top, and I was like, we're watching this like this. We've never seen nothing like this.
Right. Yeah, you wouldn't have.
Oh my God. So we're like, holy. Then, there's a place that pops up called CEX on Steinway Street, and I'm getting like DVDs for like 99 cents. And I'm just going, I'm like, yo, where's all your TNA DVDs? And they're like, right over here. And I'm like, yo, give me them all for like $17. I had like 40 DVDs pretty much. Like some of them were like 25 cents, 13 cents. And I'm just killing them because, everyone is WWE. Yo, bro, I had like my library was nuts. Like I just had DVDs of everything TNA did.
Man, that's awesome. Yeah, that was 2008. That was around like 2008 era TNA. That was good. I mean, that was really good. Like you would just see all these crazy matches back then. I mean, and obviously you got to see everything before that once you started getting into it. But yeah, dude, oh man.
You know what? Before we even think about getting out of here, and I like to just throw these crazy. Me and you had done enough of these things where you deal with my nutso ass. If you had to think of one fucked up moment in TNA history, what would it be?
Oh gosh. Okay, so there's been a lot, but I'm not gonna. Right now, the first thing that comes to my head is when Kip James and BG James, aka Road Dogg and Billy Gunn, when they went out there and they did that D-Generation X parody. That was just crazy. They're doing the suck it signs, and then the wrestlers are running the ropes, and every time they did the suck it sign, the guys would just fall back on their back. I thought that was crazy. I don't know if you ever seen that. I'll send it to you.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
What I was going to say is the most foul shit I've seen, and I remember watching it with my brother. He's 4 years older than me, and he was like, yo, that's some foul shit, is when James Storm tied up Gunner's arm to the ropes and busted his dad in the head with a bottle.
Oh, yes.
Bro, I thought that was some savage shit. Like, we were watching it, and he was like, bro, that's fucked up. And I was like, dude, I fucking loved it.
What about, we're going like, crazy TNA moments. What about when Shark Boy became Stone Cold Shark Boy? That whole thing that led up to that. Like, the shark families in that aquarium looking room, and they're all grieving over Shark Boy. Then he wakes up as Stone Cold. Like, wow, just wow.
Dude, this is what I try to say. Like, it was nuts, yo. It was nuts.
Man, I mean, there's been a ton though. Like you named it, like Mickey James getting hit by a train, pretty much, and I mean, there's been some wild moments in TNA wrestling. Like, I mean, dude, the Jersey Shore people showing up on Impact. I mean, how can we forget that? Man,
classics.
I mean, yeah. Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's just we could go on and on, but that's what I'd like to do. I mean, hopefully, get to talk about this, kind of just keep tabs on what's going on, and hopefully we'll get that TNA pay-per-view. There's no place like home because, I mean, they were gonna have a King of the Mountain match. They were gonna have the X Division Ultimate X match. I mean, they're gonna do all of that. They were gonna have the Knockouts Battle Royal. I mean, dude, we would have got a ton of surprises on that thing. Who knows who would have showed up at that?
Oh, absolutely.
And we were gypped out of lockdown too. We were going to get lockdown, just was going to come back, and we didn't get that either. So sucks.
So before we get out of here, and I know you got some plugs and everything else, this is not going to be a one-off. Like, you're going to see us do some really cool work going forward. Somebody had reached out. They wanted to hear a Main Event Mafia podcast. We'll definitely do that. I think that what we talked about prior is we want to hit on a lot of big TNA factions and promote them the way they should be promoted. We'll go through the beginning. We'll go through, how obviously it ended and everything else. So look forward to that. We'll work on that as we go along. This stuff takes time. We'll figure it out to give the best product we can for everyone who's interested in anything TNA. We're definitely going to hit on that. Now, whatever you want to plug, my brother, let him plug it because actually, let me just stop. At Crooked Smile _HT6, at Drake Adams _JCW, at Joker Championship Wrestling. I'll never plug myself because that's not what I do. But please plug whatever you want, my brother.
All right. So first thing I got to plug is Impact Plus. It's the Impact Network. You can go back, watch any of this stuff we're talking about. It's all on there. It's basically Impact's version of the WWE Network. Got to plug that because I mean, I'm going to be going back and just kind of reliving this as we're talking about some of these factions that are going to be coming up. Podcast, check out Park World Podcast. I mean, I do it with you. So we've done 2 episodes. We did Universal Studios Islands of Adventure. We just talked about the rides, and we also did SeaWorld. So go to YouTube, type in Park World. That's one word, podcast. You'll see it there. We got our two episodes up. We're going to be doing those once a month. Check out the Heel Team 6 sports show, which we've got, I think, 3 episodes up now. That's been a lot of fun, too, so check those out. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you say something?
Oh, no, I said, yes, sir. Like, we got 3 in there. We're having some fun with it.
Oh, yeah. Check out the Heelcast. I'm usually on there. I haven't been on the last 2 weeks, but I was on this past week. It's just some crazy talk. I mean, we're all kind of different opinions on what we like in wrestling and what we're watching now. So it makes for an entertaining product. Just a bunch of dudes talking dick jokes all the time. So I'm kind of glad this one's more focused. We don't get off the beaten track too much. So, but yeah, check that one out. Check out Retro Review Crew. That's my video game podcast. We just did Donkey Kong Country 2 for the Super Nintendo. We did that a couple weeks ago, actually. So that was a lot of fun. That's the video game podcast. Type in on YouTube Retro Review Crew. You can see the page. You can list all five episodes there. So check that out. Follow me on Twitter. I'm at Matt Hurley 84. So you can find me there. Give me a follow, and I'll give you a follow back. So that's really all I got for plugs. Okay,
and before I get out of here and you say your goodbyes, there's only 2 shows that whenever you do them, I need to be on. Obviously, I'm jumping on the SeaWorld, but NBA Jam and Def Jam Fight for New York, whenever they come up, I just want the homies little, we're doing it this day, and I really want to get in on those, and I can curb my value, I could curb my curses to keep it professional. I just want in on those because I love NBA Jam. Like NBA Jam, I was playing that on I was on 48th Street and Northern Boulevard playing at a little deli spot. So I remember NBA Jam arcade, so I wanted.
Oh, you'll be on. You will be on when we have that one. Oh man. Right now we're doing Resident Evil, but we'll get on to NBA Jam eventually because that's gonna happen. That game's so iconic.
Love it. Oh
So
yeah.
iconic.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, definitely. But yeah, check all that stuff out. Tell us what you think in the comment section. We want more comments. Just give it to us. Tell us if we're doing a bad job. Tell us what you like, what you don't like. Just do constructive criticism. Don't be like trolling us or anything because we're probably not going to respond. But if you're you give us honest feedback, we appreciate that. So yeah, let us know what you think in the comments. What's your favorite TNA moment? And yeah, we'll be back. All right. We'll see you next week. Peace.